just the entertainment. Yeah.
This is good stuff.
Yeah. I'm a member of all the groups.
I'm not a member of one.
I'm a member of Gene and yeah. And so I got 4 or 5 of the Shenandoah groups conversion.
I don't think that's in the cards.
Those fancy Midland houses.
I'd be moving further away from my
Pay all those extra taxes.
I understand.
Where's your office?
Hughes Landing.
Oh. You can run one of those little apartments up right over there. Just walk to work. When you're actually in the office, those mornings.
The second office is in Midland.
Yeah.
What's your breakdown travel to office time?
It's halfway from my garage to the office garage.
I mean, like when you have to travel to Midland and places.
Oh, I've traveled to Midland maybe 3 times. It's usually one night.
So you have to be on the road 20%.
Every now and then I'll take trips. It's usually there and back.
Yeah, it is actually.
A couple times a year goes to Denver. A lot of oil and gas companies.
First leader is getting coffee.
Starts happens to be we're located close to.
Did you read the minutes?
We have an existing asset.
See anything?
Sure.
That's why I like the short minutes.
When you first told me, I said,
Somebody complained about it.
Even if you're a woman, it's called a win, man.
updated something.
Pre-game.
That was a little bit different because it was a longer extended,
Put me in, coach.
Well, I mean,
We're ready to play.
hey, I
It's rock and roll.
work is done. The whole time.
Bus is out there.
All right, we're ready. Computers are not on. I don't know.
It's Charlotte.
Okay. Okay, we will call to order the meeting for the Shenandoah City Council, Wednesday, April 10th, 7 p.m. Call the roll. Notice that everybody is here. If y'all would like to stand with us, we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. After we get done saying the Pledge of Allegiance, I'll say a quick invocation. If you'd like to stay standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Lord, before we come before you tonight and just ask that you put your hand upon us, help us navigate our way through this agenda, make the best decisions possible for our residents, for our community, for our city staff. We hope that you're doing the same thing to those that are representing us in Austin. This is a big session this year, and we hope that while they're down there representing us, more importantly, they're representing you. We hope that you remind us constantly that everything we do, we should do from love. We should try to channel the grace and the love and the forgiveness that you give to us, through us and outward onto the people that we are around, most especially our neighbors. Pray all these things in your Son's name, and all God's people said, Amen. Okay. Well, we'll move right into item 5, which is Citizens Forum. And I don't think I had anybody sign up to speak. No? Okay. I didn't have a little sheet up here, so. Item 6, which is council inquiry. Does anybody have anything? I have something. I almost made some decaf coffee just a minute ago. Why do we even have this in the building?
It was on sale.
I have a new proclamation. Decaf coffee cannot be mixed in with regular coffee.
Not without a warning label.
That's right, not without a warning label. Okay, we'll move to item 7. One of my favorites, introduction of new employees, and this new employee happens to also be a Shenandoah resident.
That's right.
So it's like a little extra special treat.
We've got 2 tonight. Our new patrol officer, James Aber, sitting in the audience. He's been a police officer for 11 years, including 10 with the Humboldt Police Department and 1 year with the Washtenaw, did I say that right?
Yeah, that's right.
County Sheriff Department in Michigan. He has a bachelor's degree from Western Michigan University. He's certified as a Master Peace Officer through TCOL. For the last 2 years, he was a major crime scene officer while working patrol duties. He's certified as a Forensic Investigator Level 1, Forensic Technician, and a Major Crimes Investigator. The Aber family moved to Texas in October of '08 and moved to Shenandoah in 2012. They have 2 children, aged 5 and 4. Welcome, Officer James Aber. And our other...
No, I would say we're certainly glad to have you, and love the fact that you're a resident. That means you know our city well. So,
The second new employee is Kyle Bolton. He's seated at the back. Kyle is our newest field service representative. He was born and raised in New Waverly, graduated from New Waverly High School. He studied business at Sam Houston State University and Lone Star College. He was on the dean's list at Sam Houston State. Kyle has specialized training in operating heavy equipment. He holds a Class D water license, Class B CDL license, and is a member of the Houston Area Safety Council. He has been certified by the American Standards of Quality as a Quality Improvement Associate and Certified Quality Inspector. And little personal item about Kyle, he's currently remodeling his own home and doing all the work himself. Welcome to the city, Kyle.
Kyle, we're glad to have you too, and especially since you're remodeling your house,
Yeah.
now you can put it up for sale and move to Shenandoah. So that'd be great. All right, well, thank you for that, Kathy. We will move to item 8 then, which is presentation of a proclamation for April 7th through April 13th, 2019, as National Volunteer Week to honor the Civic Club members. And do I have a copy of the proclamation up here somewhere?
It is in your agenda pack. If you don't have it handy, we'll get you one to sign. And this is acknowledging all of the...
It's on the screen.
Pardon? Is it? Okay. You should have it up there, Mayor.
I'm going to go ahead and read it if y'all don't mind. It says, whereas the entire community of Shenandoah can aspire, equip, and mobilize people to take action that improves our quality of life, and whereas volunteers can connect with the Shenandoah community service opportunities through the Shenandoah Civic Club, and whereas individuals and communities are at the center of social change, discovering their power to make a difference, and whereas during this week, all over the nation, service projects will be performed and volunteers recognized for their commitment to service, and whereas the giving of oneself in service to another empowers the giver and the recipient, and whereas experience teaches us that government cannot solve our nation's social problems, and whereas our country's volunteer force of more than 62.8 million is a great treasure, and whereas volunteers are vital to the future as a caring and productive nation and community. Now therefore, I, M. Richie Wheeler, Mayor of the City of Shenandoah, Texas, do hereby proclaim April 7th through 13th, 2019 as National Volunteer Week, honoring the Civic Club in the City of Shenandoah, and urge my fellow citizens to volunteer for the Shenandoah Civic Club. By both volunteering and recognizing those who serve, we can come together as a community to make a difference. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Shenandoah, Texas to be affixed this 10th day of April 2019. That's great. That's good stuff. From personal experience, I can tell you, having started my service career in Shenandoah on the Civic Club. That was the first place that I served the city. They could use more help. So there were many a times when we were looking for people to help on the Civic Club, and unfortunately, just not enough people do. So those of you who are listening on YouTube, or those of you who hear this organically, if you don't have the ability to help, at least urge other people to. So thank you, Civic Club, for all you do for us. We will move to item 9 then, which is update and discussion regarding the CVB activity.
Council, in the interest of time, I'm just going to summarize what you see in your agenda report, and if you have questions or we need more detail, I'm going to ask our CVB director to come up and add to it. It's just some highlights on what we've been working on, mainly what John's been working on at CVB, along with Stephanie. We're working on developing our value proposition, and that's how we position ourselves in the market, how we compete or how we partner with our neighbors. And this is how we differentiate ourselves and what we offer our visitors day to day. So this is not excluding special events. It's not to say we won't pursue other special events, but that's not our day to day. So it's how we position ourselves and state our value day to day, and that will help direct the program as it develops. I'm going to ask Chris to pull up this is a snapshot, just a screenshot of the CVB website. This is a department header page on the city site, so it's going to be within our city site, but it's going to have a slightly unique look. And if you look into the upper left-hand corner, you'll see a graphic element there. You can call it, to simplify, a logo. You'll see that across everything that we're doing right now, because it's going to keep a consistent look across all of the CVB communications. So I just wanted to make you aware that you'll be seeing that. It's going to be a unique identifier. We're not abandoning our city logo. This is just a font treatment that we're going to be using on our digital and our collateral pieces. So that's a quick look at the website. Let me elaborate just a little bit on how we got to where we are. Just a year ago, we had not hired John. We didn't even know if we were going to continue the CVB at all. So we budgeted a small amount of money to do this website that you see here. Now, since then, and the previous CVB site was completely non-functional and non-supported by the developer. Civic Plus was selected about this time last year, and then the cost was included in the budget process. If you recall, during budget workshop, council was presented with the report from the CVB consultant, which had not even done that work a year ago. So by the time we got to budget, we had that report with his recommendations. We had the funding for this new website. Excuse me. And the decision was made to hire John. So we have some interim pages on our city site now, so we have something better than nothing. And then we have this, which is the next step. Now that we have John and we're putting a program in place to move the CVB forward, the next step is a more unique site for the CVB, something that's more dynamic and has more of a visitor identity and doesn't look so similar to the city site. So this is a better step in the process, but we're still walking down that road. Another thing that they have been working on, and I'm going to ask Chris to bring up the dining guide. You've seen the dining guide. We've had it around for years. It's now updated. You'll see a sample at your chair. It's larger. It's reprinted. You'll see the same graphic element in the upper right as we continue through our tourism communications. So this is updated. It's been reprinted. We still have a few revisions to do to this piece. John has put little tabs on there to show you, the process that we're going through with this. We're now distributing this to the hospitals. So they're interested in this, and they'll be in the city limits and just outside, so all our major hospitals. And they will be distributing this to their visitors. The next thing that we're working on, and you'll see samples at your seat, are the ad programs, and this is developing the advertising that is in the budget. So we have the digital ads, which you see at your desk, which are spelled out on the agenda report. Another thing that they have been working on to develop our Live Nation promotion is truly a promotional event, because as John put it, by the time they get to the event, they've got a room. So we're not going to capture that hotel stay, most likely. So this promotion is going to be a stay, play, and getaway weekend for two with pavilion concert tickets, hotel stay, and gift cards that they can use at our businesses, restaurants, etc. This is going to be heavily promoted on social media, so we're going to be pushing this out there. So I wanted to make you aware of that, because you're going to be seeing a lot of coverage of that, a lot of promoting. Stop me if you have any questions about any of this, because I'm just moving through each item. The Stag Bowl 2019, CVB staff, along with Debbie, who was heavily involved in the event this past year, they have already met with the hotels. They have scheduled a site visit, which is going to be later on this month, with NCAA, and it's to start nailing down the plans for this upcoming event. So we had a lot of great feedback from last year. We look forward to the same this year. We may be modifying certain things about the event. That's yet to be determined. So that's fully in progress. And last but not least, during the budget workshop, Council budgeted $100,000 under public relations for new programs. Okay, those were unknown, but the funds are available, as knowing that the director would be on the ground and there would be some amount of progress. So what we're looking at utilizing some of those funds for is expanding our advertising, looking at some new collateral pieces like a brochure that they would have at the visitor center, a meeting planner. We have some new hotels coming online in the future that they're going to have more meeting space, so this would help market and support their efforts to draw in meetings. Another thing we're looking at is professional photography and a video shoot. I'm sure you all are aware of the PSAs and the videos that run at the stadium during football season. They're outdated. So we're going to have a more up-to-date message video. John has contacted a videographer, and we're starting to talk with them about doing a new video. And then possibly more of a long-term next budget year thought is contracting with a professional PR firm to help drive some of our efforts as well. So those are the high points of what's going on. I sent everyone an email about a week ago going into a little bit more detail. But the main thing was letting you know about the Live Nation promotion and some of the graphics that you're going to see out there, so you'd be aware of it. And if there's any questions about any of this, feel free to ask.
I know one of the things we were talking about with the new advertising strategies was definitely a way to track, how effective they were. That was one of our concerns. And we kind of see Expedia is kind of one that we've been able to immediately. A lot of our other advertising, some of our concerns been, we're putting this outlay. How do we see? And so I'm excited to see that some of our new advertising is really incorporating that, so that we can see as years move forward, we can, coming budgets, you can actually go, this worked, this didn't. So.
And chime in if I've left anything out, John, that's important.
No, you didn't. I think the only thing that I would add is we're trying to go through, and a lot of this is an iterative process. It's one of the things that I've been talking to Kathy about a lot. You go from not having a working functional one to an interim one to making it better in the next generation and trying to do that. And a lot of that is right now what we're living and breathing through, just trying to get all the pieces pulled together, have the materials, the photography, the videography, things. So that's really all I was going to say to support what she's saying. It's been a really good experience thus far, and I think we're making some good steps. So appreciate your patience, and we're trying to, progress is my mantra right now. So every day, just trying to make a little bit further down the road. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
On those videos
Thanks,
and
John.
photos, I think we all need to recognize they're out of date. That's something that's basically going to be an almost annual expense. We've got to stay up to date. We don't want outdated pictures, and it's not like some of our stuff where you can take a picture and 6 years later it looks the same thing. Shenandoah is a thriving, growing a community that is always getting better and better, and so we're going to have to, it's going to be almost an annual budget. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I think it's going to be an almost annual budget to keep these kinds of things
Well, for
updated.
sure, and I think for everything that, at least in my years and experience of doing this, I mean, you're trying to work with what you have, and every year it's a layering and a building up of new stuff as well, and predicated on what I think at the start of the year at a budget cycle, what those big things are gonna be for the year that might be new, different, or require something. I think in the photography, and certainly for our purposes, trying to get photography and video footage of people playing, having fun, eating at our restaurants,
Right.
and it looking beautiful and fresh and fun. That's all very important to our mission and who we are. So we have to be able to get that kind of stuff, which we're going to be working on. So,
Awesome. Thank
It's
you.
great, thank you.
sure.
Thanks.
Okay, well then we'll move to item 10, which is discussion and possible action to adopt the following ordinance, an ordinance of the City of Shenandoah, Texas, suspending the rate proposed by Centerpoint Energy Resources Corp. As stated in your agenda packet. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Raymaker. I have a second by Councilman Brought. Do we have any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We will move to item 11, which is discussion and possible action regarding the purchase of a 2019 Chevrolet Police Tahoe and emergency equipment. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Fletcher. I have a second by Councilman Beavers. Do we have any discussion?
Did we get multiple quotes for this?
We do every time we get them.
Okay, but this was the lowest.
Yes.
And do we also get the, oh, I see, near the buying board. I saw that, the Lone Star.
Yes.
That's where we're doing that. We got the buy board with them. And this has got everything we need?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You beat me to that one, Mike.
Yeah.
I thought we had, and not that it doesn't necessarily matter one way or another, I just, from memory, I thought we had decided that we were going to split the vehicle and the equipment. Can we talk about that once before?
Well, we wanted them together, so we'd see the total
There you go,
cost.
maybe that's, y'all are the ones voting on it, so whatever makes the most sense to y'all. I just couldn't remember one way or the other, so.
Somebody get this man some caffeine?
I know, right? It's been a long day. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
You can smack them, you only got
All right.
3 months to do it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 12, discussion and possible action regarding approval of deputy city secretaries.
Council, the city attorney has recommended that we have 2 backup city secretaries. Part of the reason is Jackie Thompson was filling that role when I was city secretary, so she's familiar with it. She took the oath, et cetera, but there was never council action. So this is documenting that action and also including Debbie as a backup as well, because Debbie's here. She's exempt staff. She takes thorough notes, so we have a good backup system for that position.
I move that we approve.
Second.
So I have a motion by Councilman Fletcher, I have a second by Councilman Raymaker. Any discussion?
Are they willing?
That was my question, was like, are they actually wanting to do
Confident they're
this?
able. Are they
Do we want to talk to her confidentially, make sure they're,
And also, Ms. Courtney's not going anywhere, so.
right?
Yeah, she's living the dream, why would she leave?
Right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 13, discussion and possible action regarding approval of payment to NCAA for ticket sales.
So moved.
Second.
I have a
Hold on.
motion by Councilman McLeod, I have a second by Councilman Raymaker. Do we have any discussion? It sounds like we will. No? Oh.
Yeah, no, we do. So, quick question, I know in our original agreement, there was supposed to be a check written to us for ticket sales. Is that deducted from this amount? Are we left with $1,000? What's the whole thing on that? Because have we come to a resolution on that? Because I would hate to send them $100,000 and they still have
No,
something that they're going to send back to
the
us.
contract that was negotiated provided us, we did not get any ticket sales.
So I thought that they came back and said, if I'm recalling correctly, when we were going through the synopsis at the end of, or at the beginning of this year, talking about the NCAA and the Stag Bowl for 2018, that they were still looking at whether or not they were going to write us a check for ticket sales.
They're looking at possible reimbursements of items that we have covered. And Debbie, have we heard back from them?
We've gotten one check from them for about $1,700. The other one, we don't know yet. We just finalized the ticket sales the other day, last week. So we send them the check for $111,000, and then we're closed. And they'll make determinations if there's any other money.
So just so we know, when we send this check, we have zero leverage on anything.
Yes. Now,
Just want to be clear.
we're still discussing 2019 at this point.
I would hope that ticket sales are much different in 2019 than 2018.
Oh, yeah, I would agree with that.
I would still prefer that we negotiate something before we send them everything we have.
We can approve it tonight, I guess, and then leave it up to,
Well, that's a little late.
I mean, then they
Is
go-
there a timeline in the contract when we owe?
No.
And am I reading it correctly that there's disagreement about other reimbursements? There may
Well,
be
it's
disagreement,
not
there's full
disagreements.
agreement?
It's not disagreements, really. It's just their determination of what they are going to reimburse on. So they have the option to reimburse on things. Whether they choose to do it in lieu of the original contract is their choice.
So the executed contract does not require them to reimburse, but they may reimburse over and above the executed contract?
They could.
So I think what Ted's remembering, and we had talked about this once before, is after potentially, maybe it was a swimming and diving event, they did send us back.
Yeah, swim and dive, it was different.
But it still wasn't in that contract either, that they had to give us a percentage of the ticket sales, right?
Well, from the last women event, we actually submitted the numbers to them, and they just told us an amount to send, and it was like a percentage. And we kept the remainder. We only wrote the check. We didn't write an overall check. They basically told us what to write the check for, less our portion.
So, but contractually,
I'm not sure about the contract, but I'm just saying how it worked
I think to Ted's point, what I would like to do is take a look at that contract. And if the language is the same, then maybe we can circle back to them and say, hey, the last NCAA event we did, we retained this percentage, same contract, this is the percentage that we retained last time. We were candidly expecting to retain that same percentage this time. You know, what's changed, or are we able to do that?
And holding off for 2 weeks is not gonna change anything. I mean, nobody's gonna get concerned.
I certainly don't have a problem with that at all, because our attendance, I believe, was about 2,000 more people than they usually get.
Ninth largest.
Yeah, it was, than they usually got at Salem, so the 9th largest crowd ever, so that's a lot of ticket revenue for them.
Agreed.
I'll rescind my motion, make a motion to table.
So I have a motion to table by Councilman McLeod. Do I have a second?
I'll go along with that.
I have a second. Motion to table by Councilman Raymaker. Any more discussion?
Along Ted's point, I would just urge staff to push all aspects of this along while we do have some sort of leverage.
I think they would tell you I'm pretty pushy.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to table item 13 passes, 5-0. Item 14, discussion and possible action regarding second quarter budget amendments. If I'm not mistaken, I think we need to table this one as well. You want to give a brief explanation as to why?
So when I sent the original email for all departments to send me their budget amendments, it was before we brought this back to MDD for the Tamina median closure. I didn't update the spreadsheet, and Councilmember McLeod reminded me. So basically, everything else on there is true. It's just that one. So it's actually reimbursement from MDD, so I just have to reflect it as that way instead of paid out of general fund. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So do I have a motion to table? I have a motion by Councilman Broth to table. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Councilman McLeod. Any discussion?
Do you have a little discussion on one item?
What's that?
So on here, it says $3,800 for upholstery work on the lobby chairs out here. Can we look to see if there's a different alternative than spending $4,000 to reupholster chairs?
We can look at options.
I think we could probably buy new ones for a lot less. Just my opinion, but
They're pretty nice chairs.
they're nice chairs. We can
But you're
give-
right, we could at least
can-
look.
We can give a discount if you
We
like.
could maybe look at couches. Sit a few more people down.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0 to table. Item 15, discussion and possible action to approve use of IT equipment replacement funds to purchase video camera / building security server.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Beavers. I have a second by Councilman McLeod. Any discussion?
I actually spoke with Chris about this earlier and wanted to just clarify. This actually, if later on we do decide to upgrade the security cameras around the building, this is already covering that. Is that correct, Chris?
That is correct. Yeah, we decide either in whole or in part to replace cameras around the building. That this will more than carry us from now to the future, so next 5 to 7 years.
And this is being covered at replacement fund.
Yeah. Which you redesignated for any,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 16, discussion and possible action regarding proposed budget calendar and procedures.
Move that we approve the new budget calendar.
I have a motion by Councilman Fletcher.
Second.
I have a second by Councilman Brodt. Do we have any discussion?
Well, we need to make some choices here in terms of when we actually have the budget workshop.
So I would amend my motion to be the 9th, 10th.
That I would agree with.
I also agree with that.
Okay. Well, Lisa agrees, so I think
It gives us
that's-
a little bit more time because the tax rate won't be released
Right.
until the 25th.
Okay.
So
And
it gives us a
there's
little bit
no
more time.
Packer game that week.
So Ron's good, I'm good, Ed's good.
Yeah, I mean, we can approve it. I gotta tell you, it might change between now and then. Trying to ask me what I'm doing in July is much like August is.
August.
I mean, I have a hard time sometimes knowing what I'm doing, next week, so, but we can certainly approve this if it works with everybody else's schedule, and then if we have to call an audible, we can do that down the road.
Just as long as it's not August 23rd, because I already know what I'm doing that day.
August 23rd,
I am not available.
you'll be in Grand Cayman, or?
Something like that. I do want to say this, though, about the changes that have been made to the budget calendar. For years, I know that this has been a 3-day process here in our city, and I think the changes that have been made overall are so positive for our residents to allow the transparency that's necessary to have good quality discussions rather than trying to cram everything into 3 days. It just makes great sense, and I'm thrilled that this is the process that has been chosen at this point.
I would second that as someone who's gone through multiple budgets. Spreading it out over several meetings, letting the departments talk, giving residents so much time to be able to come and comment on how money's being spent is just, it's phenomenal. And I applaud the staff and council for making these changes to increase the transparency and increase participation by the residents. So I think it's a fantastic way, and I really like this plan.
Yeah, I'm really happy with what Lisa and Kathy have done with this. The first budget that I went through, it felt like I was at the car dealership and I was having to buy a warranty now, please. This is much more comfortable.
Having done that recently, yes, I can actually all day at a
If you could, would you? Well, at least you got a coffee and a lunch out of the deal.
Okay, so we don't have a motion to approve with August 9th and 10th as the dates.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I amended my motion for the 9th and 10th.
So you want the
and there
9th
was
and
a second
10th?
down there.
Okay. Well, technically there wasn't a second, but okay, so we have a
Second.
motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0 to approve the budget calendar as August 9th and 10th on the budget workshop.
And let me point out, there's a second attachment to this item, and that is the council request form. New and improved. Y'all take a look at it, because we're going to try to implement that. Well, we're going to implement that with this budget year to help provide detail and save time and be clear on any council requests.
Kathy, the council requests are due May 20th, and Mr. Christie will be sworn in, I believe, on May 22nd. Can you send this to him?
We will.
Y'all may get 6 requests from 7 different council people this year.
Yeah, but none of yours are
We're
going to
getting
count.
no one of them.
They're due the 20th.
Why, he's not
You're
moving, he's
still
still
the
sitting, he has to say.
Okay, we'll move to item 17, discussion and possible action to approve the minutes for the February 13th and the February 27th regular meetings.
Motion to approve both as read?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Brought, I have a second by Councilman Raymaker. Any discussion? Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 18, which is our second citizens forum, and I still don't have anybody sign up to speak unless somebody wants to speak.
Turn down the air conditioner.
I can get you some coffee, and it's not even decaf. All right, we will move to item 19, which is city administrator updates.
Council, I've got a pretty good list tonight. I'm going to try to move through it. Starting with the police department. We've got an increased amount of burglaries and thefts throughout the county and the Woodlands. As we get into the warmer months, these crimes will increase. I was at a meeting this morning, and Richard Durer from Oak Ridge North commented that they're dealing with the exact same thing, so it's affecting the whole area. We've got 2 new police officers, including Mr. Aber that you met a minute ago, filling our 2 budgeted positions for this year. They're both in field training, and that's progressing well. Last thing under police department, we've got a coffee with cops scheduled at Oak Haven on Tuesday, April the 23rd at 10:30 a.m. We've had it there before, so this is, I guess about a year ago, maybe we had it there. So this is just a repeat of that. Public Works, as y'all are aware, we started the Forest Preserve mowing last week. We had enough break in the weather that we were able to get that started. We started in the Holly Hill area, and we're going to progress through to Rosewood and Cedarwood. So you'll see those areas getting cleaned up. Our park survey that's been open for a few weeks is now closed. We had 226 responses, so that's roughly the same level of participation that we've had with other surveys. As part of this, we had a web-based survey, and we also provided hard copies up here at City Hall for anyone who did not want to do the survey online, who doesn't use a computer, that type of thing. So far, none of the hard copies have been returned. The results will be shared at the upcoming town hall meeting, May the 15th. We had a leaking water valve at Tamina and I-45 that Public Works staff dealt with today. The road was closed for about an hour, so that's pretty quick work. The repair took about 30 minutes. We had some assistance from City of Conroe. They sent a crew to come out and help us, and staff is going to continue to monitor this area to see if it was a permanent fix. So that was a water line. Our ground storage tank, which is in the budget, that RFP is out to bid. The bid opening is going to be April the 24th. Last but not least, under Public Works, our Easter egg hunt is this Saturday, April the 13th. We have a backup plan because rain is in the forecast. We have a 100% chance of rain that's starting Friday night. So our backup plan is to clear the Public Works building bays and shift everything there. We'll make that determination by the end of the day Friday, and we'll let everybody know. We've already got a little advance message out on social media to let people know that we will decide by the end of the day Friday. The entertainment is going to be inside the bays, and Civic Club and staff will just hand out the Easter eggs to the kids. So that's the backup plan. We'll keep you posted. General updates, the house on Savannah with the tile on the exterior. That is not forgotten. The city stopped work on that back at the end of January. The owner has been notified by the city attorney in writing that he needs to remove that tile. Since that time, he's hired an attorney who made contact with the city last week. And Mr. Farabee is going to be contacting that attorney, and we're going to work toward getting that tile removed. So it's in progress. Update under hotels. The Clarion is now under different ownership. That property has changed hands, and the city's now working with a new owner to get a CO, complete any inspections. Additionally, we've been contacted about the Baymont and the lot where the new Hampton was planned. We have people interested or expressing interest in buying those. There's been no change in ownership yet. So that could be part of our redevelopment plan. And last but not least, the house on Enchanted that borders the toddler park, there's been some concerns about when that house was vacant, and it went into foreclosure last month. It's now listed for sale. So any foot traffic in and out of that house that's workers, realtors, they're supposed to be there. There's a lockbox on the house, lockbox, so there's not, just random entry is not possible anymore. So if you hear any concerns from residents about that house, it's in the transition towards selling. So that's all I've got.
Very good, thank you. Okay, we'll move into council inquiry, and we'll start with Councilman Raymaker.
Okay, first I just wanted to address some misinformation or disinformation that's being disseminated as part of the campaign process. The budget has been available on the website since the 2011-2012 budget year, and we couldn't have gotten the star ratings that we've gotten over the last few years if we didn't publish that budget on the website. So anybody who says that, oh my gosh, they didn't put it up until I asked it, that's just not true. Furthermore, meeting minutes, we have 3 different channels to have people catch up on information that happens in these meetings. We have the audio, that's available on our website. YouTube is available immediately after this meeting, and we do not edit it. It's right there. We don't have time to edit it. It's out there. It's live. And the written action minutes, those are ready as soon as we've approved them, as we did tonight. Other than that, just see all the Easter egg hunt. Hope for good weather.
Thank you, Ray. Councilman Raymaker, Councilman Fletcher?
You guys go twice?
No, I was saying thank you.
You want to cede your time back to me?
You need it.
Staff told me not to do that.
So just a couple of things. One, I want to commend our police department. While burglary rates may be climbing in other cities, ours has dropped 35% over the last year. So that is good to note. Also, I know at one time that I know a lot of our officers will take second jobs, do security jobs at different locations and at different functions. And I thought we were doing this, but after speaking with Chief, I discovered that we weren't. But I would think that it would be in the best interest of not just our officers' sake, but our city and residents as well, that if they're working at an event, that they would probably be best to use one of our cruisers that are parked and take it to that event. Obviously, a good example is the shooting that we had over at Canes. There was a county sheriff that was there at Canes at the time. Obviously, he's the one that rectified the matter and shot the perpetrator. But the reality is had his cruiser been parked in front of Canes, that guy would have never came through the front door. And I think for our officers' sake, and again, the safety of our residents, we can go back. We had an accommodation last meeting with the shooting that took place at Twin Peaks. I would have to believe that if one of our cruisers was parked in front of Twin Peaks, that probably would have prevented that shooting from taking place. So I think it's something that we should consider in allowing our officers when they are working a second off-site position that they're allowed to take a cruiser that would normally be parked here at City Hall with them to display that there is a presence here. I don't know how other councilmen think, but Chief, what thinketh thou?
Let's put this
Let's
on
put that
an
on the
agenda.
agenda.
We can?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
put that on agenda, and we'll, I hate to start deliberating over
Yeah,
a
let's do
topic
that.
like that.
We'll get it on agenda. I'll back that, putting that on the agenda.
That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Beavers?
Yes, Councilman Raymaker, do you happen to recall how long the city has been hosting meetings on YouTube?
I believe that happened shortly after you were elected, Byron.
Not just me, I think it's been less than 2 years.
Since this team has been here, yeah.
Thanks for answering that. With Clarion and the other hotels that are potentially moving on, are we up to date on taxes owed to us?
Yes, and the Clarion is up to date on other utility payments as well.
Okay. If any of them get out of date, will we be putting liens on the property?
The other two hotels are not up to date yet, are they, unless she's paid
On
recently?
occupancy tax, they're all up to date on
Are
occupancy
they?
tax.
Okay, that's good.
And she has until the 20th of this month
And utilities?
for the February, what was last month? March. For March's.
I would encourage y'all to be very proactive about getting liens on the property if there are things that are owed to us.
Yeah, we're somewhat limited on what we can do on hotel occupancy tax by the state law, but other items,
Utilities and
we're
property.
we're staying vigilant on. We don't want people getting far behind.
And then, do y'all have a update when Killins is going to open?
They have not announced yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Beavers.
I'm good.
Councilman Buck?
I'm good, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilman McLeod?
Yeah, I want to bring this back up again. I do it every so often. In terms of, and I'm going to bug Lisa again, about how we report our savings, because we get lots of different things, and I've talked to you about setting up a separate way to report. This is truly, as opposed to basically creating a savings account versus a savings account and checking account. Kind of what we have now is this idea of a checking account, which has this sort of fluctuations, like all of our personal accounts, up and down, So it may be a little more difficult for outsiders to kind of see what we consider our savings account. And so,
So I've reached out to Lewis, our
Okay,
account
yeah.
auditor. He's gonna draft me up something that
Okay.
kind of gives the pros and cons, and then
Cool.
what are better alternates, or, you know.
I'm sure there's
Yeah,
better
so
ways to think about it.
I've already reached out to him. We're just, you know,
Okay,
it's their busy season for their December
course.
31st companies right now, so.
all right, well, thank you very much,
Yeah,
appreciate it. That's it.
That's it. Okay, I'll reiterate what Kathy said about the Easter egg hunt. Y'all know it's one of my favorites. Love the Easter egg hunt. So looking forward to having it. Hope we get to have it at the park, but if we don't, we'll have it at Public Works and we'll still have a lot of fun. I will say that we get on average somewhere between 75 to 100 people that watch our YouTube channel. Obviously, we don't have a huge crowd here tonight. We're gonna post it on social media.
We have a banner ready for the
We'll pick up
website.
some folks there, banner for the website. But I mean, we're talking about in all, we're probably, if we're really lucky, we're gonna be able to capture 4, maybe tops 500 people. And how many people did we have there last year?
I think close to 300.
Yeah, so we would have to hope that everybody was there last year is one of those people that's catching one of these media outlets, whether it be social media or our website or YouTube or whatever the case may be. So I think my point in that is if you're listening to this on YouTube or anyone else, try to organically spread this word as best you can. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends, because what we don't want to do is we don't want to have people show up to the park on Saturday and nobody's there, and we don't want people to see that it's raining on Saturday and think, oh, well, they must have canceled it and not come to Public Works. What we'd like for everybody to know what the backup plan and have as many people there as we can. And, you know, we want everybody to show up, obviously. So just think about that there's a real good possibility they're not gonna pick up on the message we're trying to deliver in the mediums that we're delivering it. And so I think we need to hit the streets with it. I'm sure Ted will be out knocking on a lot of doors. Maybe you can drop a line while you're knocking on doors.
I think we could have one of the police officers in a bunny suit at the park redirecting people.
That's a great chief.
Chief in a big
I
pink
think-
bunny outfit.
I think
Yes.
I think Councilman Raymaker just might
Volunteer,
have told you. The only other thing I have is Miss Courtney spearheaded a great idea, I thought. I think there were a lot of people involved up here at the city, but she was the one that talked to me about it, basically. And that is that it started off with a conversation about the median there in front of Home Depot about coming up with some sort of maybe a contest or an idea from residents of what type of artwork maybe to put in that median instead of those rocks that are there, which I'm glad somebody put the rocks there, but candidly they are pretty ugly. But it will keep people from driving over the curb, so that's okay. But it'd be really cool if we had some sort of a cool, maybe something Shenandoah or some kind of artwork or something. I agree. I think that'd be neat. And then that sort of spread to maybe there's other places around the city that we could put stuff that would sort of dress up the city a little bit and kind of be warming and welcoming to people as they come into our city. And I think Miss Debbie was going to look into whether or not Hot Tax could pay for that. Is that correct?
If it's art, we can.
If
Right,
it's
John? Yeah.
okay. So I'd like to put that on an agenda, and maybe we can kind of chew on how to come up with something, whether, you know, how we involve the residents, how we get public feedback, and then how we sort of come up with a determination process. Where we want things to go, how much do we want to spend on them, is there a theme that we want to look at. I thought it was a great idea, and thank you, Courtney, for at least bringing that to my attention, regardless of how many people up here on staff we're all talking about it. I appreciate all y'all for thinking outside the box about things like that, so I think it's a great idea. Other than that, man, hope everybody has a great rest of your week. I hope I get to see everybody at the Easter egg hunt this weekend. And thank y'all for participating tonight. We're going to move into executive session, and we are going to talk about the Mud 95 and 242 LLC, as well as Crown Castle. And we are also going to talk about the Christ Community School easement. So we will recess the regular meeting at 7:54 and move into executive session. Thanks, everybody.